Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is going to be episode 3 of um, me raising an industrial tune. When we left off on episode 2, we had talked about trying to break even, and I went and did some mining to raise enough ore to again become ISK positive from our investment of our ship. So we had guesstimated that we needed 1.3 million to recoup our money, and if we look at what I have in here, I actually have about 3 million. Um, and if you look at this, right, so let's just say 30,000 M3, and my ship holds 5,000, so it would take about 6 trips. And it takes about 20 minutes to fill a hold, so 19 and like 25 seconds, something like that. Um, yeah, so it takes about that long to fill the ore hold. So very minimal time, and this ship was already paid off. And what we're actually working towards is filling up our we're getting through our training, so it's just a waiting game now anyway. So anything that we mine, we are just simply using for investment into our next ship, or in this case, into our next upgrade. So we were hoping to get our tier 2 lasers up top here, and then also our tier 2 mining laser upgrade. And we are still unable to do that because we don't have the proper skills. Still don't have the proper skills. And again, still don't have the proper skills. So we're still working on getting there. But once we have that, we will sell what we have, and we will go ahead and purchase those upgrades and then start working towards our next ship. So a couple things I wanted to go over with episode 3 was how I chose the system that I'm in right now. So when we left off, I was sitting in Rennes, which is one of the Minmatar trade hubs, and I needed to find a place that was relatively close, that was quiet. I did not solve the quiet problem. There are 18 people in local right now. There are quieter systems where you may be alone most of the day and just get some passing traffic, and there may be some where you are uh, where there's 4 or 5 people, and that's ideally what I was searching for. However, the site that I chose has an ice belt in it, and that may benefit me later on. So I went ahead and did that. And how I chose this site was I went into my structure, so utility structure browser, and I looked for facilities in the region that had, I did a service filter of reprocessing to check out what their reprocessing values were. And the one that I'm in right now has a 1.5 reprocessing, and it also has very low industrial tax. So while I may start here, I'm probably not going to stay here, because what ultimately is going to force me to move is when we go ahead and um, get into a corporation, and hopefully they have a holding corporation that is in charge of their is in charge of their structures. And the reason for that is to prevent being war decked, which once you are war decked, anything goes with whoever you're at war with. Concord's not there to punish. I'm not going to say protect, because Concord doesn't protect you. Concord punishes those who attack you. So that is why I chose where I am right now, and I'll probably have it blanked out anyway, so you may not see where I am. But there are tons of stations in this system. It's insane how many stations there are. if I even just do current system, and there's this, at least for production and research and everything like that, there's there's 5 stations, and that's quite a bit. Okay, we're gonna go back to the ore that I mined, and I know one thing I had brought up was like, don't reprocess right away, don't reprocess right away, don't reprocess until you have your skill set to do so. And I'm gonna show you why. So I can reprocess here, and if I go to reprocess, we kind of see that base value gives us 3.4 million. I only get 50% reprocessing, and the output will only give me 2.8. So I'm taking quite a hit by reprocessing, because I lose 50% of it. So as my reprocessing skills go up, the amount that I'm able to retain goes up, and then it actually becomes profitable to reprocess and use the minerals. But for us, we're not really going to be selling the minerals. Well, we will, as an interim between mining and and building things. But for now, we may just hold on to everything unless we need to ISK, and we can liquidate some of that and get some fast ISK if we need to buy like a blueprint or something like that. Then we again, you pay a reprocessing tax to the corporation that owns the station, and that's what reprocessing is. I don't do it right away, and I would suggest that you don't do it. While I did my mining today, one thing that I did notice is that it did not have anybody that I have marked as red. There are known gankers that will go after your miners. Not necessarily a frigate. It's not cost effective to go after, uh, spend 10 million, 15 million on a ship to go after a ship that's worth, less than a million. So, actually, how much was my ship worth? Oh, we crushed it. I forget how much we spent. Let me go back. So, yeah, we spent about 1 million buying the ship. So we crushed it. We're way ahead. Well, not really way ahead. Nothing to write home about, but we're pretty much ahead now on ISK again, despite buying a ship. So that's good. But anyway, during my mining, I didn't see anybody that I have marked as red. None of the known gankers that I know of. But I've been out of the scene for a bit, having lived in Null, so I'm sure that they are around. But it's not worth taking a 15 million dollar ship to try and gank me unless you're just absolutely trolling. And that, I mean, Eve can be a very toxic environment, and there may be someone that sees this and re-sees the name and then comes after me. And that's, nature of the game. We went over basic fittings. What am I looking for here? Alright, so we're going to go into how I... Alright, so we're going to go into how I set up for a mining expedition here. So first of all, I make sure that my mining hold is empty. Before I undock, I go into my agency, I go into encounters, and I check for a pirate stronghold. If you are out mining and not paying attention and there's a pirate stronghold in your system, you will die. This was something that was implemented into the game, and it is really bad. So 2 jumps away, there's an FOB. There's actually 3 of them. That's insane in one system. Oof. I pity anybody that's stuck in that system. But anyway, they specifically have a QRF, or quick reaction fleet, that lands into a belt and will pretty much wipe anything out. I have tried to combat them with a tier 3 destroyer, uh, with a heavy assault cruiser, and I was unsuccessful. I was able to get away, but I was very unsuccessful. There's a lot of E-War involved there, and they love to pin, they love to web. It's not a fun time to go solo, but I have seen fleets take care of these, and it's it's not a system to be mining in. All right, so we're good. We know that this system is good. And the first thing that I do, I go ahead and undock. I'm going to scout where I want to be, so we're going to choose an asteroid belt. And I'm going to land at 0. No rats, so that's good. Alright, so I've landed at 0. This is the one place you do not want to mine. You do not want to land at 0, and you do not want to be mining at 0. If someone comes in and they are specifically looking to gank you, this comes more into play when you have when you're into your mining barge, and more when you're into your exhumer. Exhumers are juicy targets, especially if you are not running a skiff. The other two can be soloed. So, um, yeah, this is why I don't AFK mine either. But once I'm in here, I'm going to actually find something that is well off the mark, right? So, maybe not the furthest one away. Maybe I'll choose this concentrated Veldspar here, and I will save location. I will save it for 3 hours. I will end it, and then I'm going to go back to the station that I was in, or just a station, could be anywhere. So I'll choose just the closest Anthenor. And now I'm going to warp back to the spot, to the bookmark that I had just made at 10. I should be far enough off that I don't uh, do a pinball machine. If you land too close on a rock and you land inside the rock, you will get ejected out violently and be completely off your mark. So here we are, concentrated Veldspar, and I will select my 2 mining lasers, click on it, and boom, I'm there. And now we're mining. And now I will go ahead and launch these guys. Make sure they are set to aggressive. So when a rat comes on grid and begins to attack me, they will attack back. Then I'll go ahead and choose my inventory here, choose my mining hold, and we'll just sit here and we'll watch it fill up. Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and pack it in. Shift R recalls my drones. I'm going to cut off the lasers. And luckily for that, the asteroid was going to be dead anyway, so we'll watch that blow up. Or disintegrate, whatever they do with it. I guess one thing I could have done if I wanted to find out how that was doing was done a survey. And the survey would tell me that there's, how big the rock is. So if I really wanted to, I could munch on this rock and then munch on this rock and then be out of here. But we're gonna go ahead and go back to our station. Actually, I want to show just a quick trick here. If you go to a player-owned station and you warp, I warp to 0. And then as long as you're within 10 kilometers of the station, you can right click and you can do open cargo deposit. You can take your ore, drag it in, and transfer. This is useful when you are in a bigger ship that takes forever to turn. Instead of coming out, instead of docking and then offloading and then coming back out and waiting until your ship slows down before it can actually make the turn and get to where it needs to go. You're already at a dead stop, so your line time will be much lower. So just a trick I didn't know about till I came back to Eve. I don't know if that was there when I had first started and I took a hiatus and everything like that, and I was like, oh, look at that, that works. Okay, so we have it all stacked up here. Now, I try to shove this in there, 31,000 shoved into 5,000 just ain't gonna happen. So this was the great thing I was talking about with player-owned stations, is we have an option to compress it, and this will take 100 100 units and compress it into one, which is super useful. And sometimes, so if we look at this 3.69, and we compress it, and our value actually goes up, because people will buy compressed over raw because you get more out of it. So our ore size now went to 468 M3 as opposed to that ridiculous number that was there before. And that fits nicely in the mining hold. And now we will actually take this to be sold. What I sometimes will do is I'll just find the best place to sell it, and I will sell directly to buy order for now, because the broker fees and the sales tax that you're going to pay on it, you're not going to get the total value out of it. So, and I'll show you that once we get to Rennes, because that's where we're going to go. Okay, so here we are. We are in Ren's. We are ready to sell our booty here. So go back into our mining hold. It says 4.7. I guarantee we're not going to get that much out of it. So we throw it into. Did not mean to throw it in our ship hangar, but it ended up here anyway. So what we'll do here is right-click on it. We'll view the market values again, and I'm going to show you the differences here in what I'm about to do. So how many pieces do we have? 3,125. So we would not be able to. Actually, we would be able to fill it for 1,400. So I'm going to show you what we'd end up doing. We'd actually do like 13.99 or something like that. Undercut this one, put us on the top, make us the cheapest one. So if we did sell this item immediately, okay, we're going to end up with 3.6 million ISK. Okay, and we'll be able to fill an entire buy order, or we'll be able to put this towards an entire buy order for that amount. And right now we're going to pay 8% sales tax on that, which is horrible. And we can improve that. And we'll go over that, and once we get further into our career, how to make this better, and also how to make the broker's fee better. So once you sell it for more than immediately, so if you're going to put it up and say, oh, I'm gonna sell it, then you end up, well, what was our immediate? Was 3.6, right? So now you're gonna pay another basically 3% on the value, reducing it even further, and you're not actually going to be able to sell it for 1,277 though. So what was it? So what I do is I type in here 1,400 and we go down by 1. So assuming someone bought it and we didn't have to play a sale battle, we would actually still make a decent amount. So 3.89 versus 3.61. So in this case, it would actually benefit us to go ahead and put a sell order up, but we need the ISK right away. Not really, but there's also a chance that you're going to lose some of that money if someone doesn't buy that. If someone doesn't buy your sell order right away, and instead someone undercuts you, and then you have to come back and then renegotiate that order. Every time you do that, you pay a broker's fee, and those add up fast. So we're going to avoid that. We're going to sell it directly, and sell, and boom, we're looking good. And while we're here, we're going to spend some of that hard-earned money because we know that we're working towards our upgrade. And even though we're not there yet, maybe we don't want to come back to Ren's. We just want to kind of accumulate our ore, accumulate our ore, accumulate our ore. So before we leave, we'll go ahead and buy the upgrades that we wanted. Oh, did I buy the wrong thing anyway? No. So I could buy one that's a little cheaper, one jump out. which I think I will do. So we'll take our miner that we just bought, and we cannot equip it just yet, but we will throw it in our cargo hold. And now I have okay, so now all of our upgrades are bought, and we will go back to where we need to be. Okay, so we are back in station. I'm going to go ahead and take the stuff out of my ore hold because I would hate for me to be out and get blown up because I'm not paying attention, or I get ganked, or multiple reasons why I would get killed, or get blown up, I guess I should say. So we will actually end the episode there. We have everything we need. We are still ISK positive, I believe, from when we started, 16.3, 16.5. So we are still we're still 200,000 ahead of the game. So already doing very nice, very nice. But that will conclude this episode. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I will catch you next time.